What you believe about destiny is the greatest scam of your life. They told you it was written in the stars, that some invisible force determines who rises and who stays stuck. They told you it depends on luck, talent, or circumstances you can never control. That lie has chained more people to mediocrity than failure ever has. Destiny is not handed out like a lottery ticket. It is built brick by brick, choice by choice, through discipline. Until you understand that, you will keep living as a prisoner of excuses and comfort. David Goggins calls this the discipline of destiny, and it starts with something most people are too soft to face. He calls it taking souls. This has nothing to do with arrogance or cruelty. It is not about rubbing victories in other people's faces. It is about showing what becomes possible when you refuse to fold. Imagine a brutal project at work. The deadline is crushing, the team is exhausted, and everyone around you is dragging their feet, desperate to tap out. Most people in that situation coast. They cut corners, lower standards, and conserve energy. Then one person decides to do the opposite. They stay late, they grind harder, and they show up with more energy than anyone else has left in the tank. That single person changes the entire atmosphere. Some colleagues feel exposed because their excuses no longer hold up. Others feel lit up and start working harder themselves. Either way, the standard has been raised. That is taking souls. It is proving through relentless action that the human spirit cannot be broken by fatigue or pressure. It forces everyone around you to reconsider their limits. This is why discipline kills the myth of talent. Society worships talent like it is destiny. People point at the gifted and say they were chosen, that the rest of us should accept we could never match them. That is a lie to keep you small. Talent without discipline is useless. Effort beats ability every single time. Look at Michael Jordan. He was not just blessed with skill. He built his legend in empty gyms before the cameras were rolling. He was the first to arrive, the last to leave, the one who practiced shots long after his teammates hit the showers. His obsession turned talent into untouchable greatness, and the principle is universal. You can be ordinary on paper, but if you show up every single day while everyone else waits for luck or inspiration, you will pass them all. The world is full of wasted talent. Cemeteries are filled with people who had gifts but never developed discipline. The real test of destiny comes not when things are smooth, but when life attacks. Most people see obstacles as curses. They complain, retreat, and waste energy believing the universe has conspired against them. But Goggins reframes obstacles as sharpening stones. Every challenge is a chance to toughen your character, test your resilience, and refine your skills. Look at Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. When people called him a failure, he shrugged and said he had simply found 10,000 ways that did not work. Every so-called failure was not the end. It was data. It was training. It was sandpaper against steel, sharpening the edge until the final strike broke through. This is the mindset discipline gives you. Obstacles are not detours. They are the path itself. Think about your own life. Every breakup, every layoff, every rejection letter, those are not dead ends. They are sharpening stones. The problem is, most people waste them by wallowing, blaming, or quitting. But if you flip the script, if you treat them as training, every wound becomes armor. Every setback becomes proof that you are still standing. That is how discipline transforms pain into power. But none of this matters if you refuse to act. This is the trap most people never escape. They wait for motivation to magically appear. They think they need to feel good before they move. That is weakness. Motivation is a con artist. It shows up when conditions are perfect and disappears the moment life gets ugly. Motivation is a guest that never stays. Discipline is the house you build with your own hands. Discipline is the decision to act whether you feel like it or not. Picture the runner training for a marathon. On a bright sunny morning, running feels easy. But when the alarm blares at 5 a.m. and it is cold, dark, and raining, motivation is gone. That is when the real difference shows up. The undisciplined runner rolls over and goes back to sleep. The disciplined runner laces up anyway. On race day, the gap is undeniable. One runner shows up unprepared and broken. The other shows up ready to dominate. That is the difference between living by feelings and living by discipline. This is not just about running. The same law governs every part of life. The disciplined student passes, while the talented but lazy one fails. The disciplined entrepreneur builds a thriving company, while the gifted dreamer keeps talking about the ideas that never get started. The disciplined artist creates work that outlives them, while the naturally gifted one wastes decades waiting for inspiration. The disciplined parent raises children who understand resilience, while the distracted one passes down the curse of excuses. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not fireworks or viral moments. It is repetition. It is grind. It is the boring, unglamorous choice to show up day after day when no one is watching. And over time, those choices compound into something unstoppable. This is the conspiracy no one wants you to uncover. If discipline builds destiny, then you do not need to wait for anyone's approval. You do not need to be chosen. You do not need to be special. You only need to act with relentless consistency. That is why the system feeds you comfort, distraction, and the lie of talent. Because once you realize that discipline is destiny, you become uncontrollable. You stop being a cog in their machine. You stop being easy to predict, taking souls, outworking talent, turning obstacles into sharpening stones, and acting with discipline. These are not hacks. They are laws written in blood and sweat. And if you live by them, you will shatter every ceiling placed on you. If you ignore them, if you keep waiting for motivation or luck, you will stay exactly where you are, stuck in mediocrity. So here's the choice you cannot run from. Will you keep letting the world script your destiny? Or will you seize it with your own hands? Stop waiting, stop whining, start building. Because discipline is not just a habit. Discipline is not just a practice. Discipline is destiny.